Arguably the two most important lower life forms in contemporary cartooning, the Ren and Stimpy show is a tricky one to praise, whether due to its now two god-awful reboots, or the show's fetishistic creator. The lower life forms known as Stimpson J. Cat and Ren Hork,
That's Hawk, you idiot! Not Hawk!
have been almost swept under the rug of the animation conversation. Despite this though, the duo have been thoroughly run through the machine of merchandising that is Nickelodeon, and thus we've been blessed with a charcuterie of toys featuring the various cuddly critters of, John K. Being that Ren and Stimpy was one of the first Nicktoons airing on August 11th, 1991, we're not just looking at collectible figures today, but unlike most of my videos, we've got some honest-to-God toys here, riddled with play features and horrible sculpts. We're starting early, after the airing of only Season 2 back in 1993, when Mattel produced the first line of articulated Ren and Stimpy action figures. Featuring 6 standard figures, as well as 2 deluxe-classed figures, and even a box set, each figure had a label saying what episode it was based on the card back, with each card back being exclusive. Now that 8-figure lineup may start to get your brain racing as to which classic iconic Ren and Stimpy characters Mattel chose to focus on. That's where the first disappointment of the line comes in, as this entire line is made up of nothing but Ren and Stimpy variants, a plight all too familiar for collectors. Still though, we can be glad we didn't get simple expression changes, and still got fully new sculpts and card backs for each figure. I'll start basic by just covering the standard releases of Ren and Stimpy. With the standard Ren being based on the episode Stimpy's Big Day, he doesn't exactly look like Ren, which is hard when Ren's always not really looking like Ren, but Mattel clearly had a very hard time translating these designs from 2D, with Ren's body being far too thick and bulky, almost looking like he swallowed a bowling pin. This off-model appearance is probably a result of the play feature, this one being known as Slap Happy Ren Hook, with wacky whirling action, meaning that pushing down on his head will result in his torso and arms spinning around him wildly. Now, Ren's head sculpt is a lot more accurate than his body, but there's still just something a little off about it that I can't quite place. I don't know, I think his face just doesn't look strained with agony enough, you know? Now, the standard Stimpy is also based off the same episode, and it's even more blatant in its play feature, and I'm sure it's the first thing you noticed when looking at it. And yeah, I'm not even going to talk about accuracy, as Bumperific Stimpy features an extendable body made up of a few segments of plastic, thus allowing for his Smash-tastic play feature, where you can smush down his head, revealing a swollen welt. Now, the sculpt of Stimpy's head, or face, whatever, is actually pretty good, showing him after a beating from Ren. He looks sufficiently dopey, and I think they really got the colors perfect here as well. Both of these figures use the same card back template, and these card backs may just be my favorite part about this line. It just so perfectly represents that early prime of the show without the over-the-top gross-out or nostalgia-bait Nickelodeon branding overbearing the actual show. These are definitely figures I'd love to have on my carded wall, and that goes for everything in this Mattel line. Next up, we've got the duo based on their appearances in the classic iconic Space Madness episode, again featuring all new card backs and sculpts. Starting with Commander Ren, who features a much better body sculpt, now wearing his classic iconic spacesuit. It has the appropriate scrawny and flimsy proportions that Ren should, and he also has a desperate looking head sculpt that really suits the character in episode. It even has some additional articulated eyeballs attached to his ears that allow for some extra posing, although that may be a little hard considering his hammerhead action, which is why he has such a long neck, and is the only real problem I have with the figure. Next up is Space Cadet Stimpy, and again, I'd say like Ren, this sculpt is much improved, although, again like Ren, he looks a little stretched out to make room for the play feature, this time being a removable head, which when removed allows you to shoot out his brain. Now, Stimpy's head is really common to lose, and makes this figure quite hard to find secondhand. The head is also made of a different material, being a softer rubber, which lets the paint scrape much more easy off it. These two Space Madness variants were also later re-released in a 4-pack, alongside the variants based on their appearance in the episode In the Army. This 4-pack was simply just re-releases and had no changes to the single-pack versions. Speaking of the In the Army figures, these outfit swaps were the last standard figures released by Mattel, and they're by far my least favorite, purely just because they don't match the designs in the show, being toned down from the pretty realistic uniforms shown in the show. Still though, they feature again all new card backs, which certainly look nice. Army Ren features his best head sculpt yet. Even though he's wearing a helmet, the smile is just perfectly crooked and helped by the rubber material used for the play feature. One we'll see returned time and time again by companies making figures of Ren. This feature being the classic iconic eye-popping action. Sadly though, the body is markedly worse than the Space Madness sculpt and has the same problem as the first one, making it a weird, fat, bulky looking figure. I think they did a much better job with Army Stimpy, especially on the body and uniform. This Stimpy's play feature is hairball hurling, meaning that the entire upper jaw and head unhinges to swallow the included accessories, those being a sock, can of tuna, and a hairball. Finally, for the Mattel line, we got 2 deluxe figures released, which featured large accessories and full articulation. Starting strong with bathtub Ren Hoik, with under-leg bubbling action. And this right here might be the best looking Ren figure we have ever gotten. From the posture to the face, this gets it almost completely right. If I could change anything about it, I'd make sure he wasn't holding anything, as I just don't like molded accessories, and I'd give him a more neutral expression on the face, and separate the ears. But even when I look at the newer, more detailed figures, this one from all the way back in 1993 still tops them all. And I'd almost say the same for Deluxe Gritty Kitty Stimpy if it weren't for the very unfortunate molded detail of a pile of kitty litter on his head, making it so that this can never really be your basic neutral Stimpy, and can only really be posed with his, although thankfully included, first material possession, which has his name printed on it, and he also came with a fly swatter and 2 flies that can attach to his head. Now, these 2 figures here also have by far my favorite card backs. I just love the art used on them, especially the Stimpy key art, which is just sublime. Finally, for the Mattel products I'm going to be covering today, they released a few talking plushies, and just because of how much I love them, I'm going to be covering them today, even though they're not action figures. Scaling to about 9 inches, Stimpy is a pretty standard plush and features various gross out sounds, but far more interestingly is the 2 Rens released, who both feature plastic molded faces to really capture the likeness. The Happy Ren's face is clearly based on his promo art when he's advertising the show's logo standing in front of it, and it's just pretty classic iconic, but not nearly as much as the Angry Ren, whose grotesque face is stretched into a deep frown and has 2 bulging bloodshot eyes bugging out of his head. I mean, just look at it. I don't really think I need to explain, just say how much extreme appeal this plush has. It just rocks so hella hard. After the complete implosion of Spumco in the 90s, there was a long hiatus of new Ren and Stimpy figures. While a few various statues and other figurals would be produced, we wouldn't see another line of articulated action figures all the way until 2004, and joy, the wait was worth it, because this is without any doubt the best line of figures featuring astonishingly more than just Ren and Stimpy. Produced by the shuttered and long-missed toy company Palisades, also behind the beloved Muppet Show line, would release a full wave of 4 figures, as well as variants and exclusives, with the renewed interest brought by the not as fondly looked back on adult party cartoon. Still, these figures largely ignored the extremity of the reboot. Starting with an all-new character, we have the Shaven Yak, covered with sculpted patches of hair and coming packed with accessories like 2 dollops of shaving cream, a razor, and the first of many, logs! Probably my favorite part of the Palisades line is the logs included with each figure. Not only is each log different, most being different molds too, but they also each come in their own miniature card back, based on the various logs by Blammo commercials from the show. The log featured here is the Invisible Log, a simple translucent recolor. Now, another quirk of the Palisades line, shown with Shaven Yak, is the Chase variant. Much like Toy Biz days of Marvel Legends, each of these figures had a rare short-packed variant figure with a slight change to the design, and a different log. Shaven Yak had a lathered variant, where he has a new head sculpt with shaving cream covering his muzzle and a black razor instead. The log featured here is the Secret Agent Log, James Bond-inspired log variant. Next up, and the only other new character in the line, is the questionable Mr. Horse. Probably featuring the strangest accessories, Mr. Horse comes with a swappable suit look as well as equipable rubber nipple fetish outfits. And that is indeed how it's labeled on the box. Remember, we're in the adult party era of Ren and Stimpy now, so it's a shame they didn't use that as an excuse to get more weird characters like George Liquor or Kowalski. Though the included log here is the singing log, an all-new mold. Again, Mr. Horse did receive an even more minor variant, having the fetish gear attain a now shiny look, probably making the creator quite happy.
And I think Katie showed me one time, she drew, I was at her 15th birthday party. We'll tell you that backstory a little bit later.
and giving his suit a reddish hue. He also apparently has a new face sculpt, although I can barely tell. It's supposed to be a paranoid expression. A more noticeable change is the log, which is now a very different standout RCMP log of the Klondike. Now is where we get to the Palisades renditions of Ren and Stimpy. Starting with the latter, Stimpy comes again with his cat box, a mind control helmet, as well as parts for a Dr. Stupid look. Stimpy's pack and log is the log for girls, a pretty different one. But taking a look at the main sculpt here, I think they really got the proportions spot on, but the colors are a little dulled out, and I would have loved a faceplate system to be created, to give options for closed meld or glassy-eyed looks that Stimpy's classically iconically known for, something that really would have made a great variant, but instead, what we got is a little more disappointing. The chase variant for Stimpy was the sickly tongue, and for obvious reasons. The tongue out option is appreciated, although I feel it would have worked better as an optional accessory than worthy of an entirely new figure. But maybe this figure is made worthy, given that the included log here is the baseline log from Blammo, so that's definitely something you'll want if you're collecting these. Ren is another character that Palisades really perfected the sculpt for. Featuring that promo face with his widest possible smile, he looks exactly as he should. But again, I think Ren really would have benefited from a neutral head or an enraged one. With all these amazing accessories though, I see where the budget went, although I don't know if it was worth it. Ren comes with a full-size armchair, some gritty kitty litter, a fez, a toothbrush, and his pack-in log is the action log. Another missed opportunity, I think, would be to give some flocking to the facial hair to make it more accurate to its G.I. Joe inspirations. Now, unfortunately, Ren doesn't have a chase variant, although he did receive a Palisades collector case exclusive variant with more recolored accessories and an all-new head sculpt, this time showing him in extreme fear. And I really like this one, and I wish it wasn't so damn hard to find. You know, I had trouble even finding pictures of this one, so good luck hunting for him. The collector case also came with a new log variant, this one being the Civil War log. After the release of Wave 1, plans soon began for Wave 2, with another set of 4 figures on the way. 2 new characters and a new set of Ren and Stimpys would be released. But unfortunately, just as the sculpts had been finalized, the line was cancelled, and that's all we'd ever know of it. Still though, a few more exclusives and odd releases would be put out over 2005 and 6. Like the previously mentioned Ren variant, an additional 2-pack of Fire Dog versions of Ren and Stimpy would be the exclusive for Wizard World 2005. The Ren here is a fully new sculpt with a new head, expression, and everything, whereas it appears Stimpy has the same face as the older release, despite his new fireman attire. Both also come with golden fire hydrant helmets. Additionally, another 2 log variants would be used as giveaways, those being the Yule log and the glow-in-the-dark log. There was also the Mega log, an 8-inch, way upscaled version of the log from Blamco, with all new exclusive retro-styled packaging. Now, here's where some very cool and even interesting information comes in, as since it's been years since the closure of Palisades, many former employees have actually been able to share some information, and even pictures of the cancelled figures we would have gotten in the long-forgotten Series 2. One of whom, and who I got my photos and a lot of information for this video from, at Creatus Maximus on Instagram. So big thanks to him for sharing these amazing photos and his work on the line as a whole. You know, thanks man. Starting off, we would have gotten Space Madness versions of Ren and Stimpy. Stimpy in his cadet gear, and I just love the expression here. Even without paint, you can see just how much detail is in these sculpts. That's even more apparent with this Ren. Having all his features pushed to the max and his face distorted by rage, this is exactly the kind of Ren variant we deserved back in Series 1. And I only wonder what awesome accessories it could have come with. The next 2 figures are more interesting as they're full new characters, and their cancellations are a true loss. Starting with my previously mentioned wanted character Kowalski, here we actually have a fully painted prototype, again courtesy of Creatus Maximus. So this shows exactly how he would have looked if he ever did end up being released. And he really is perfect, and you can see just how much he towers over the Ren and Stimpy from Series 1. And finally we have the one and only
Hello, fellas. What seems to be the trouble?
We're all out of powdered toast.
Powdered Toast Man. Another character who really would have been awesome to see in figural form, especially in a scale akin to Marvel Legends. And that's exactly what this would have given us. And he even would have come with 2 extra heads so we can capture all his classic iconic looks, as well as some extra fisted hands. Now, for a cancelled accessory, we have Muddy Mudskipper, who would have been included with the Series 1 Stimpy, but was cancelled at the last minute. As for other accessories that were cancelled, a number of log variants that would have been used in Series 2 were produced and fully sculpted. First up, we have the X-ray log, the alien log, the water logged, and finally the cheerleader log. That's it, the complete wave of Palisades Ren and Stimpy. And it's only downhill from here, but it's not a complete loss, because I think the next company would do a serviceable job on the license, even if it would start a trend that would curse any further merch released for the show. After the complete debacle that was the Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon, most companies were pretty hesitant to touch the Ren and Stimpy license, and it would be quite a few years until finally, Jazzwares, as part of their wider cartoon line, would release just a few figures based on the show. Now, this is where the curse I mentioned earlier comes in. These aren't Ren and Stimpy show action figures, they're just Nickelodeon's Ren and Stimpy. And if you want proof, look at the card backs and how lifeless they are. There's nothing tying it to Ren and Stimpy, only the corporate aesthetics of modern Nickelodeon. Still though, the figures themselves are actually really good, being based on the most iconic episode of the show, Stimpy's invention. And as an accessory, Muddy Mudskipper was packed with Stimpy, and he's a new character, so that's something. Stimpy himself features a classic and pretty neutral stupefied look on his face, tongue out and lips bitten, whereas Ren on the other hand is clearly based on his head smashing during Happy Happy Joy Joy, and thusly comes with an equipable Happy helmet, although maybe an additional hammer would have been nice too. As part of the same Nicktoons line, Jazzwares put out a series of 6 PVC minis based on the show, and notably we got an officially released Sven Hoek and Powdered Toast Man in this line, as well as some lesser seen characters like Mr. Horse and Log, of course. They also made Ren and Stimpy themselves, and I really like the sculpts here, but I don't think they can really make a neutral Ren, because he's the only one here that's in any sort of like extreme pose. Time for a jump into some random releases, as in 2017 another set of PVC minis released, this time only having 5 characters, meaning Sven got the axe, and all the others just got simple reposes, with Ren now having his fez and Stimpy shown picking his nose, and Log even got a new variant this time, being Marching Band Log. These I also have seen knockoffs of available hella cheap on AliExpress, and they look to be factory overstock, so if you want some cheap figs of these guys, these are probably your best bet. Other than that, 2 7-inch vinyl figures were released with the same branding on the boxes. The Stimpy has articulated arms as well as a bobblehead feature for his ass cheeks, and he comes with 2 snot goblins. The Ren features the comeback of the eye-popping action feature, and I'm fairly certain doesn't have any articulation, but he does come with the Muddy Mudskipper, top hat and all. These are as close, I'd say, to a neutral set of figures as we've gotten, in terms of pose and expressions. And I actually like them quite a bit, although more articulation would have been nice. These are definitely pretty good figures of the two. Now, the next company is pretty bad. They're the same ones behind the god-awful King of the Hill figures, and these terrible Napoleon Dynamites as well. That's not to say loyal subjects are all bad, because the Ren and Stimpys they made are actually pretty good. Ren's only 5 POA and Stimpy's even less at 4. From what I can tell, it's pretty hard to see how many figures are in this line, but I'm pretty sure that Stimpy has 2 chases, one being solid gold, which I can't see any pictures of, and another one, which I've only found a few stray listings for, being a naked Stimpy in the normal box, which is strange. Maybe a Hot Topic exclusive I saw, really not sure. There was also a matching naked Ren that was featured in a Comic-Con 2018 2-pack that also had a log in it, as long with Fire Dog Stimpy. Also available at Comic-Con 2018 was this carded Ren with bloodshot eyes, and as far as I can see, that seems to be it for loyal subjects Ren and Stimpy. Overall, I think they did a pretty good, if not forgettable job with the characters. I don't know, more accessories would be nice, and, some more characters and molds too. Going back to a classic iconic toy company in the Gear 1 files, the ever-present Super 7 have indeed made both Reaction and Ultimates figures based on the show. As for the 3 3/4 scale 5 POA Reaction figures, we got 3 different ones, each with their own completely unique in shape and design card backs. First off, we finally got an officially released articulated Powdered Toast Man, and though he's not the 1/12 hero we deserve, the 3 3/4 figure still gives at least something to pose around with for the character, and even comes with a little kitty to save. As for the Red Manx, Stimpy, he comes on a dirty pillow card back, and he looks about what you'd expect from another 3 3/4 4 POA figure, without much articulation hurting the sculpt. He looks pretty much ripped straight from the show, although more iconic accessories would be nice considering how basic the figure is. And Ren on the other hand is very simple, being another overly wide smiling Ren with a sufficient body sculpt to match the show. This is probably the most lifeless I've seen him, and I really don't like this one at all. Even the scales between the two are off, with Ren being far too tall. Super 7 making both 3 and 7-inch action figures, it's no surprise that the iconic Ren and Stimpy would be worthy of both scales, with 2 Ultimate figures being released at the same time in 2022. Now, we all know that Super 7 Ultimates are way overpriced, and here it's again on display, with these two being fairly basic sculpts without a lot of detail or paint apps, and even less articulation. These guys retailing for $90 each is just insane, and the included accessories don't make up for it at all. I mean, just look at what we get here compared to the Palisades of old. Starting with Ren, who comes with 3 unique head sculpts, I just don't think any of them really stand out above the previous ones. I don't know, maybe it's something about the color here, or the lack of molded skin stretching, but he just feels way too relaxed for the ever-tweaking Ren. At least he does come with a few accessories, like a big plate of pig snouts, a rubber nipple, and yet another fez to wear. While these are good, I think some more would have been nice, and including small molded characters like Muddy Mudskipper is always something I want to see in these overpriced Ultimates, and that's just not something we got here, and not something with Stimpy either, as he only comes with 1 extra head, and that really doesn't change much. Only adding an extra open mouth, it doesn't give much extra posing options. It would have been really nice to see a more chiseled smart look, like when he's inventing something. Or maybe even a pained expression for a mid-beating face to create some good fight scenes with Ren. Again though, the accessories are just such a letdown here, even more so than Ren. Some gas effects, another dead fish, and the only good accessory here is a bag of gritty kitty litter. That actually is better than the Palisades one in my opinion, if only for the colors. Taking a good look at the boxes again, I think it focuses way too much on the gross out factor of Ren and Stimpy, not the actual feelings the show gives off. Focusing so much on the gross and disgusting is missing the really experimental animation mixed with pure nostalgia and subtlety that really makes the Ren and Stimpy show, or at least the original Nickelodeon 5 seasons, so appealing for so many people over the past 30 years. That's what I like so much about the Mattel figures. I think they just really captured the feeling of the show in those last few sculpts, and the extremely hella awesome card backs really added to it. But there is another few pieces of Ren and Stimpy related figures I think deserve some more coverage. We won't be seeing any more of our title characters with these last items, because these last 2 pieces are the only items featuring this character, and I think it's probably best that it stays that way. So here we go. Why not give your kid the talking and squeezable man?
I'm George Liquor, American.
That's right. Straight from Spumco itself, from whatever knobby-kneed animator calls himself the CEO, we have a full-size, 17-inch plush talking doll of Ren and Stimpy's loving and caring master, and he talks. I love this thing so much. And yes, the fucked up creator only adds to the macabre appeal of this sick looking man. And it's quite rare too, meaning if I ever really feel it's worth buying, then on top of the over $100 for the thing itself, I'll be paying another $100 on just shipping alone. And I don't want to miss out on the box, that comes with an included comic book featuring some liquor laughs. I've seen some of these on eBay, but strangely while doing research for this video here, I saw that you can still buy this doll, mind you, originally from 1995, straight from the Spumco online store, meaning that I can only imagine you'll be buying one of these straight from the unsold stock stored somewhere in John K's basement, amongst whatever other things might be lurking down there. Now, nothing on the branding of this item actually ties it to Ren and Stimpy itself, other than the fact that it is George Liquor, and of course it's by Spumco. But still, this should be the center of piece to any Ren and Stimpy display. And hey, Spumco even made this 3-inch little rubber figure of George as well. This one in his tighty whities featuring some awesome tan lines and some nice fat rolls. In the 30 years since whatever perverse and psychotic forces in this world created Ren and Stimpy, pushing it onto unsuspecting kids on Nickelodeon, and later to the unprepared stoners on Spike TV, the legacy of animation reinvention that was brought about by Spumco won't be forgotten anytime soon. Especially with other seedy Nickelodeon creators in the spotlight as of late, I think it might put a damper on further Ren and Stimpy merch, especially any based on the weirder and more experimental aspects of the show. So we might be forced to see any further merchandising continue the curse of Nick branding them not as Ren and Stimpy of their own show, but rather just another extinguished pair of Nickelodeon cartoon duos, writing them off as an over-the-top gross show with a creator that makes it uncomfortable to talk about. Still, if the right company got the chance, maybe in a few years when the storm of Dan Schneider settles down, we can again talk about Nickelodeon shows without any Moz-like statements about how it was really Billy West who made the Smiths, and John Chris Felucci was just a talentless voice, when we all know what this charming man would sound like without Morrissey's moaning into the mic. Sometimes you just need a show that makes it feel okay to submit to mindless self-indulgence. And I don't think Ren and Stimpy are gonna cancel me for liking Jimmy Urine.